I love it when people say, we weren't Florida. But there's a little part of my heart that stops for a moment. Because I didn't run for office to prove we aren't Florida. I ran for office to prove we're still Minnesota. And that's what we've got to do. With your help, I was unknown, but labor and labor's allies organized door by door, family by family, member by member, and I got elected in 2006 as part of a whole group of people who were dedicated to taking this state back and taking this state forward again, and that's what we've been doing. We've gotten some things done. We've made some big changes in our elections to make sure that other people can participate, especially our soldiers, our sailors, our Marines, our airmen, all of our people who are serving overseas. We made a lot of changes. We've made changes in how we do our business. But think about what we can do if we had a real leader in the governor's office. Think about what we could do to prove and show to the nation what it really means to be Minnesota. We could modernize a lot of our voting systems. We could bring some of the benefits that we've taken to our veterans and to our other service members and make those applicable to everybody. We could transform how we do many things, but we must have a leader. And that's going to be our key effort this year for everybody, because we need a leader in that governor's office. Now, some of you got a chance to watch our little Secretary of State debate Friday night on Almanac. A bunch of you has stopped me. And, I think it is worth seeing at least what is a contrast with one vision of our state, one vision of the future, and another. But what it will take for us to have the power and the capacity to move forward is a leader in the governor's office who is there to say yes, not just to say no. And also somebody who's giving us a sense of a vision and hope and a real possibility of the future. And to get there, we're going to have to bust some myths that I hear every day being propagated on the radio and sometimes in the newspapers. One of those myths, and you've probably heard it, is that Minnesotans aren't really going to turn out in big numbers this year. People are dispirited. People aren't that interested. It's going to be a low turnout. Well, that's what they said about the primary election, and you know what happened? We had a record number. We had 50% more people voting in this primary than anyone expected, and it was in the middle of the summer. Minnesotans are going to be turning out because they know this is an election about our future. But there's another myth. There's this myth that the Republicans have the energy and the Democrats are dispirited. What are they talking about? Of the 600,000 people who voted in the primary, 450,000 were Democrats. There were hardly any Republicans who voted. And they had to turn out their base because they were afraid that Karen Anderson might beat their endorsed candidate for Attorney General. The Democrats are mobilizing. The Democrats are organized. The Democrats have the machine. And that's the momentum we're going to use in the next 38 days. But there's one more myth, and that's a myth that hurts my heart more than the others. The others are just lies, and I'm kind of used to the lie part. But it's the belief that fear and hatred and anger have the momentum. If you watch TV too long or listen to radio too long, you kind of feel the venom and feel like that poison has the momentum. In my experience of this, and I've been everywhere, and I'm on the road every day, is that it is true that fear-mongering is happening and that people do have things that they fear, losing their job, losing their home, their kids losing their job or their home, their pensions, their health care. There are things to fear. But fear is something that we can only confront by our courage, and it's the courage and dedication of the labor movement that will successfully confront those fear-mongers, will successfully put fear in its proper place. If you're afraid of losing your job, then you need to work on jobs. If you're afraid of losing your pension, you don't want Target buying the people sitting on the pension board. If you're afraid of losing your health care, you've got to support legislation to make sure everybody has the opportunity for health care. We have to use the courage, demonstrated by working families, working people in the labor movement to turn back that fear. And I mean courage from the Revolutionary War, when it was farmers and mechanics that took up the guns, that put power behind those words about liberty and justice for all. I'm talking about the courage in the Civil War and courage in the World War I and World War II. Next year is the 150th anniversary of the Civil War. Are we going to talk about what it meant to say no to slavery? Are we going to talk about what it meant to defend the Union? Are we going to talk about one nation indivisible? Are we going to talk about the government of the people, by the people, and for the people? The labor movement, who's led us through struggles for civil rights, for human rights, for women's rights. The labor movement that's led the struggles for health care, the weekend, a livable wage, and real safe working conditions, has the history, has the reputation, has the experience to lead us with courage against fear. Next year, we're going to show what it means to believe in one nation indivisible. We're going to show what it means to pledge on our heart liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.